What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Critical Overlord here. We're going to be talking about I Know What You Did Last Summer in this video here today, going over the Legacy sequel that just dropped in theaters this weekend. If you haven't checked it out already, go check it out before finishing this video because I'm going into spoilers. It's the only warning you are getting. Anything beyond here is your fault and I don't care. So yes, we're going to talk about the Fisherman, who it was, talk about the motive, and some other things that changed in what we got this weekend in the official drop. So yes, as many of you had sent to me over on Twitter, Instagram, commenting below in countless videos, yes, Ray Bronson was the Fisherman. He's turned into the guy Barry always knew he'd be. A turn that Freddie Prinze Jr. casually fed us months back without people realizing. Well, he talked about the motive months back. In May, he said this to Entertainment Weekly. He said they were all traumatized. Catching up with Ray, you see how that has shaped him into the position he's in now. He loves his town and not everyone else does, in his view. And he's a little grumpier with the way the world has treated him since the 1997 Southport Massacre. So he has gone through a lot, and I don't know if he's dealt with it the way the modern man deals with stuff. You know what I mean? He's a guy from the 90s like myself, so I think he's probably bottled up a lot more of those feelings that we've talked about. He goes on to say Ray has a bar. It's kind of where he's at in his life now. He's not the active fisherman that he thought he was going to be. He's managing and owning a spot of his own and trying to keep it afloat. See how he pointed out he's not the active fisherman? I think that Freddie purposely was using his words to signal where we ultimately ended up with the film. Ray is the killer. He is an active fisherman, but of course not in the traditional way that we saw Ray as a fisherman in that original film. And of course, and I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. All this was intentional. Looking back on this was Freddie feeding us how this would go. Now we know gentrification was mentioned during this film as well at one point, or gentrification, I think is what Tyler said. But when Ray explained himself, he only addressed the fact that the mayor was trying to bury what happened to him as a motive. But going off of this comment from Freddie in May, Ray had a lot more to his motive. This is why I said during my review that I wish the movie had more breathing room, because Ray's turn isn't nonsensical. It does make sense, but major elements are left out that add more weight under why he's doing what he's doing. He's in fact upset about the gentrification, and he wanted to protect Southport because that's his legacy. The film needed to flesh out that more, and I know it did at one point, but it was trimmed down for whatever reason. Ray also had a scene where Teddy's dad, the mayor, was going to try to force him to sell his bar or talk him into that. That was cut. There's just a lot of breathing room that got cut for, again, whatever reason. But like you guys know, I'm not a massive fan of anything past that first movie anyway. I have a soft spot for the sequel. Third one is garbage. I'll keep saying that because that's true how I feel about these movies. So of course, this sequel easily became the best sequel to me despite editing problems and other issues. We're not alone in some of the issues that you guys are pointing out. I pointed out some of those things in my review very briefly. It's just not so overbearing to the point where I thought this was the worst thing ever. It's just not, because the franchise itself has not been producing constant masterpieces. Now, as for an alternate ending, we know Ray didn't do this alone. His co-worker / the daughter of a friend that left town after they butchered their kid's college fund. That person, of course, was Stevie. That was his partner. She was also a recovering alcoholic, I believe, who lost her boyfriend, who was named Sam Cooper. There you go. That's who SC is. Lost Sam Cooper a year ago when one of her friends, Teddy, foolishly played chicken in the road. And now before Ray is caught by Ava, he shot Stevie on a boat with what I can only assume were blanks. She went into the water and we never saw her again. But we were supposed to. We were supposed to. A scene that I know has been shared on Reddit since someone asked me if it was true. It is in fact true. Would have shown Stevie at a resort or something like that, and she's ultimately attacked by another fisherman. It's the shot in the trailer where you see Sarah Pigeon turning around, and we get the callback to the jump scare from the OG with the fisherman lunging at her. But this scene next to the scene that we ultimately got as a mid-credit with Julie and Carla would ended up having more context to what went on with Stevie, because it could have implied that Stevie's attack was in fact legitimate and not just a simple callback to the nightmare Julie had at the end of the first film. But Julie ended up going to Carla in the mid-credit scene with a note saying it's not over, and she wanted Carla's help since the picture that came with the note had Carla's face X'd out. Now, Carla's usage, while minimal, Jen actually did make it impactful. Jen and her co-writer, I'm assuming. But if a sequel never happens, I'll probably avoid this scene, but I do appreciate the fact that even though it was a minimal presence for Carla, it was still significant. It immediately put some urgency behind her return, that can lead into her being a big role in the sequel. Now, another scene that I'll say you can take with a huge grain of salt is an alternate cameo with Carla, where instead of getting a knock on the door and getting a visit from Julie, she allegedly got a visit from Gabriette, who would have been playing another character who was the twin to Tyler earlier in the film, coming to Carla to finish her sister's podcast work. Take that with a grain of salt. Now, as far as the biggest swerve of all, in my opinion, for weeks, a lot of you kept saying that Danica is dying because someone decided to publicly share it online. And while I knew she did die, I had to just sit back and laugh because in the back of my mind, I knew that a film with so many different scenes was going to work her back in as a final girl potentially, and that's exactly what they did. Danica didn't die in the official drop, but after Stevie dealt with her, she originally is never seen again. She's dead. So there you have it. I did dig the decision to turn Ray, but I wish all of the breathing room was kept in because I know he had a much longer monologue that honed in on the gentrification, and Ray ultimately wanted to scare off tourists while preserving his own legacy. This was so necessary to me because it makes a rewatch of the three movies that much better. Barry predicted this angle, and now it has come to life. This also gives Ray the best character work out of any of those original characters from the first movie. Of course, if you're someone who just overly connected with the romance between Ray and Julie, I get why this didn't work for you. But to suggest Ray would never do this, I just find it to be absurd. Ray showed us plenty of times he might snap under the right circumstances during I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. This didn't butcher his character because he's still being the loyal guy he's always been by protecting Stevie in his own demented way. Ray was always the poor kid of the group, and going off of his actions here, it's not hard to believe that he did resent his wealthier friends the way Barry suggested. It's just the motive here needed to be elaborated on a bit further. With more scenes to showcase where Ray is at, as Freddie described in that interview, it would have made it so more people understood this dark turn. I myself understand it because I'm engaging with Ray's story beyond his relationship with Julie. He was the unfortunate kid of the group. He was ready to throw Ben Willis away to save his ass because he didn't have access to the resources that his friends had. He mentioned this, and he hasn't made much of his life. So of course, Southport and his business means a lot more to him, but he's surrounded by wealthy folks who couldn't give a damn, and that doesn't sit right with him. The motive is right there, and it is believable for a character like Ray. I'd argue it's not that it doesn't make sense, it's just a situation where a lot of people don't like it because I guess everyone and their mama is supposed to have a happy ending, and that's just not reality. What they did with Ray, the crumbs are there in both of those first two films. This is just Ray's dark side in full effect. It just needed more breathing room, and I will continue to defend what they did. Argue with the wall. Go ahead and give your comments down below. Also, for the people drawing the dots between what I've been saying about Sarah Michelle Gellar having an upcoming surprise and what just transpired with the latest I Know What You Did Last Summer film. Yes, that is what I was talking about for many months. I knew Sarah Michelle Gellar was going to appear in this film. I just didn't want to give too many specifics out of respect for all the creatives involved who appreciated that I was teasing and hyping up the film. Alright, of course, make sure you subscribe, turn on post notifications, and never miss video. In the description, I have links to all my social media accounts. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can message me there, of course, to let me know if there are any movies, news, or reviews you'd like me to cover in the future. And with all that in mind, guys, I will see you in the next video.